Back to today's video. Today is Saturday, August 3rd, 2024, and today we are going to be talking about the 2024 presidential debate, as Donald Trump announced last night on Truth Social that he was backing out of the originally scheduled and agreed upon ABC News debate set to take place on September 10th. Instead, he says that he will be debating Kamala Harris on September 4th on Fox News in the state of Pennsylvania in front of a complete and total full stadium. Now, this comes at a time where the Kamala Harris campaign has been very adamant that Donald Trump refuses to debate Kamala Harris, saying even, quote, "say it to my face," referencing the many things that Donald Trump has said about Vice President Harris on TV interviews, through Truth Social, at his rallies, whatever it might be. Kamala Harris is very adamant, say it to my face and debate against me on September 10th. And it seemed as if he originally caved and said, okay, I'll debate her. He announced in Pennsylvania that the challenge was accepted when she put forth the opportunity to debate him on September 10th. Now, this was already an agreed upon date that the Trump campaign had agreed to against President Biden. ABC News had set it up, and they had sort of figured out exactly how this was going to go. And now, all of a sudden, last night, he seems to have, sort of changed his mind on the topic of the debate, backing out again for the second time, saying that he wants to debate on Fox News, and that's really the only way that it's going to happen. Now, the Kamala Harris campaign has responded in saying, we will be there on ABC News on September 10th. This was when the debate was set to happen. This was when the media cleared their markets. This was when everybody got ready to watch us face down. And if you're afraid, just say that. Donald Trump also said that this debate would be on his terms. He backed out of the ABC News debate and says, I will debate her only on Fox News. He cited who he wants as the moderators. He said this will have to take place in a full stadium in Pennsylvania. He's completely changing, and largely we see this as him, yet again, backing down, afraid of debating Vice President Harris. It is one thing to say, I think that we should debate further. This debate can happen, but we can do different types of debates. And now that Joe Biden and his campaign and Kamala Harris and her campaign had the say in how the debate was going to go, because Donald Trump offered it up anytime, any place, that was his exact quote, anytime, any place, evidently not ABC and not on September 10th. But he says here, anytime, any place. So the Biden team took advantage of that, said, okay, we're going to do it June, we're going to do it September, let's lock in. Trump team said, okay, let's lock in. Then, when it became Kamala Harris, the Trump team seemed to get a little bit scared. They seemed to get a little bit worried about debating Vice President Harris, and I think there's a reason for that. They all remember back in 2020 when Kamala Harris defeated Mike Pence at the debate according to every single data point that was released after the VP debate, including FiveThirtyEight, which did an instant before and after poll with Ipsos that found Kamala Harris's approval rating went up 6 points nationwide to a majority of Americans approving of her after watching the VP debate. And so, where we were back in 2020 sort of informs how they approach 2024. And I think a big reason why they're afraid is because they see the way that she campaigns in Atlanta. They see the way that she campaigns in these battleground states. They see the way that she campaigns very differently, much more strongly than President Biden did. And they are afraid of debating her on a national stage. He also wants to change up the entire dynamic of the debate, rather than allowing it to be in a room without an audience. We know that debates typically do have an audience, but this time, the Biden team had said no audience. And I think a big reason for that was because Donald Trump likes to stack the audience. If you remember that he spoke at the Libertarian National Convention, his supporters tried to really get up in the first 4 rows to be right towards the debate stage to make the narrative seem as if libertarians were cheering him on, as if libertarians wanted him to be the next president of the United States. So the Libertarian National Convention had to impose a rule, unless you were a delegate for the Libertarian Convention, unless you had attended all days and all sessions of the convention, you could not stand in the first 4 rows of the Libertarian Convention. What happened? He ended up getting booed off stage. And so this time, what he's trying to do, and he says he wants it in a full stadium, he wants to pack the stadium with people that support him. It seems very much that he's trying to make this an optics thing, where he can try to skew the audience, so that way it seems like he's winning the debate. But the Kamala Harris campaign isn't biting. They're not agreeing to this debate, and I do think there is some level of journalistic malpractice when we title articles like Trump says he agreed to Fox News debate on September 4th. Sure, he agreed to his own debate, but he had already agreed to the September 10th debate and backed out. What's lost in the narrative on all this, and I think, sure, I don't think this will actually be something that can be changed from here on out after the articles are published. What I think really needs to be understood is that this debate is something that we've been talking about for a while on this channel. We've known was taking place since May, right? The Trump team agreed to this very early on, ready to debate on CNN, ready to then debate on ABC, and Trump cites some very weird, very obscure legal reason, and no real legal reason at all, saying that he has an active case against ABC News and George Stephanopoulos, and that's the reason why he won't debate Kamala Harris on ABC News. I mean, we all know that that is just really him trying to push away from the real reason that he's afraid to debate Kamala Harris. J.D. Vance was also afraid to debate Kamala Harris. His team said they wouldn't debate Kamala Harris ahead of the DNC. Now, they cited the reasoning that, sure, we might not have known who was going to be at the top of the ticket. But at this point in time, the communication on this was very much so that Kamala Harris was going to be the VP nom and Joe Biden was going to be the presidential nominee. And even at that point, when there was so much on the Democratic side that felt so adamant, they said, we're not going to debate because we don't know who it's going to be. In reality, what we do know, and especially now, if you look at any article on J.D. Vance, you will find that he's the most unpopular VP nominee in decades. He's the least liked amongst even his own party. You're finding, too, that donors are worried about J.D. Vance. Members of the Republican Party are worried about J.D. Vance. They believe he genuinely is bringing down Donald Trump's chances, so it's very obvious they never wanted him up there on the debate stage against Kamala Harris. He's a 2-year senator, first term elected in 2022, was never Trump in 2016, compared Trump to literally Hitler. I kid you not, you can look into it. Such a fascinating turnaround in terms of kissing the ring here. So J.D. Vance, 2016 never Trump, 2020 became a Trumper, 2022 went all in for the endorsement and has a lot of baggage, a lot of baggage, so he didn't want to debate Kamala Harris either. And so the J.D. Vance team said no. Trump's team then also said no. They said they can't commit to any debate, citing the same exact reason. And the reasoning he said was that he won't debate her for September 10th because she's not officially the Democratic nominee yet. But here's the problem. He said he couldn't debate because he doesn't believe she's going to be the nominee. Well, guess what? Yesterday, the DNC held a roll call. She has now been officially nominated as the presidential nominee for the 2024 presidential election. So now, the goalpost is being moved. It isn't that she's no longer nominated, because now she is nominated. It's I will not do it on ABC News. And Fox News, of course, Donald Trump's favorite news network, probably except for maybe One American News Network and Steve Bannon TV. Fox News, Donald Trump's favorite news network, is going to throw him a lot of softballs. I think that is something that has been entirely understood. What we have found is that even in the CNN debate, they gave Donald Trump far more grace than many other moderators would. Take a look at any of the recent interviews that Donald Trump has done, far more pushback from even members of, the press that weren't asked to moderate a presidential debate. And so Fox News getting in this debate here, I'm sure they're very happy. In reality, Kamala Harris says, I'm not showing up. I will not be there. It's not going to happen. September 4th, you can go. He's also going to say, I'm not going to go to the ABC News debate. But the good news for Kamala Harris is at least the narrative has been that Donald Trump has been backing out of debates. And now he's saying he agrees to a Fox News debate, but it's pretty easy to sort of see how the Democratic Party is going to use this to their advantage. He goes to the network that he trusts the most instead of doing one that is more nonpartisan, going to a news network that has thrown him historically the best odds and the best questions because they don't want to turn off his supporters. I mean, there are so many different reasons why Fox News would not be the most objective news organization to hold this debate. And honestly speaking, if you're asking me, I would agree that no news organizations should be hosting these presidential debates, that we should be going back to the Presidential Commission on Presidential Debates. That is how that has been ran. The Commission on Presidential Debates has been longstanding as the host of the presidential debates for 40 years, a very long time. Donald Trump at the RNC said absolutely not. The Democrats, of course, can't just show up alone. They want to have a debate. It is clear Donald Trump does not. And the Kamala Harris team also responds back in saying that they are willing to do any debate beyond September 10th. If they want to show up to September 10th after that first debate, Kamala Harris is willing to do 2, 3, 4 more. They're willing to do as many debates as they want because the Kamala Harris campaign knows that she would win that debate, or any debate for that matter. And when you take a look, too, at the VP debates, they know J.D. Vance is also scared. Because if he won't debate Kamala Harris, what's to say he would debate someone like Josh Shapiro or Governor Andy Beshear or Tim Walz, right? What's to say he decides to debate them either? They're backing down because they are looking at this and seeing the momentum is moving in favor of Kamala Harris, but they do not want to do anything that could add to her momentum. Because right now, all Americans got to see was a Trump versus Biden debate. But that's where I think the real biggest pitfall will be for the Trump team. If America doesn't see Trump against Kamala Harris, I do believe that Kamala Harris has an easier pathway to the presidency. I also think there is a circumstance in which Trump does so poorly at that debate, it's sort of like a Joe Biden moment, where he did so poorly at the debate, his election odds dropped that evening tremendously. And then you have to call into question, was that debate more of a negative than it was a positive? Obviously, Democrats went into the 2024 debate with Joe Biden, assuming it would be a positive. So did the Trump team. It ended up being a positive for one side. Though, I think the way the Democrats can spin this narrative around Donald Trump not even showing up in the first place will be a problem. I think he's trying to get ahead of that by hosting the Fox News debate a week earlier, but I really don't think it's going to stick. Because again, The consistent thing we have known and seen in the press for the past few days, past few weeks even, past 2 weeks that Kamala Harris has been the nominee is that Trump pulls out of the debates. J.D. Vance was already pulling out of the debates, and they had an originally agreed to September 10th time. It also will be a problem because Donald Trump has only debated Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is the new person in the fray, and everyone will assume that it is Donald Trump who doesn't want to debate Kamala Harris because she has been so clear. Say it to my face. She's been running ads everywhere on social media, everywhere to the press. Say it to my face. I'm ready to debate Trump anytime he wants to. We have the September 10th date agreed to. Let's do it there, and then we can talk further. And I think that's what we're going to see happening. I also think there's a circumstance because Kamala Harris's campaign has not agreed to show up to Fox News. Fox News pivots to a town hall style. They want to use their moderators and do it effectively. Kamala Harris, I think ABC News is going to keep it as a debate because they agreed that they would host this debate with or without Donald Trump. So I think we're going to see Fox News that came up, seems to be a plan they came up with very last minute. You know, we're talking a month from now, they're expecting to host that debate with no level of discussion around it, not talking about it whatsoever, not planning for it. So Fox News is going to try to do what they can. Kamala Harris very much does not look like she's going to show up. They've already declined the request for debate. Donald Trump has also declined the request for debate. But I do believe, based on what we have seen, the Democratic Party does have a way to get out ahead. Because of this, I also think, because Kamala Harris is new, this allows her to have more of an opportunity to define how she is perceived to the electorate. Because the whole thing about Donald Trump versus Joe Biden was that Joe Biden perceived and was seen as older. He is older. He's 81 years old. And that came through on the debate stage. Donald Trump, however, didn't come across as this phenomenal candidate. Even if the aftermath of that abysmal debate performance for President Joe Biden, Donald Trump was still polling 46, 47 nationally, nowhere near a majority in practically any battleground state. Kamala Harris, however, in new polls, getting closer to the majority and turning around the numbers in favor of the Democratic Party. Donald Trump refusing to debate her on September 10th, I think, will be seen, depending on how the election goes, as a smart political decision or a very, very, very bad one. I think it will be seen, encompassed in a large set of things as to why Donald Trump won the election should he win it. But if he loses, there will be a question about how do you stop Kamala Harris's honeymoon period? How do you stop the momentum that will lead right into the VP announcement? She'll get another honeymoon bump now, then another honeymoon bump after the convention. And then, depending on how his standalone performance goes, and I honestly don't have much confidence, he will have a strong standalone debate performance on Fox News, depending on how that goes. And then her debate goes on September 10th. And if there are no more debates between then and the election, not much of an opportunity to change the narrative or change the momentum, because all that will be left are just singular individual rallies held in swing states, ads being sent out the same way they normally are. These are the ways you change national opinions on a race. And for better or for worse, Donald Trump for a while had an advantage because he seemed better than Biden, but compared to Harris, there's no real comparison because they have yet to debate. And so Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party has a new opportunity now that Biden's out of the race, again, shaping her story, shaping the way that people perceive her, and it could honestly work really, really well. And so Democrats, I think, in a way, are quite glad that Donald Trump is backing out of this debate because it means that they have more of an opportunity to just steamroll the next month with the convention, with the VP announcement, with Kamala Harris raising a crap ton of money. Democrats are in a very good position leading between now until Election Day. Donald Trump needs something to change that momentum. However, in the same way it happened for Joe Biden, which was supposed to change the momentum in favor of the Democrats, that debate did not. It only exemplified the change in momentum, except not change in momentum, the continuation of Republican momentum. If Kamala Harris gets to debate Trump, there's also a very real possibility that she ends up doing so well, or just doing better than Donald Trump in comparison, that it continues her level of momentum. And right now, I think the Trump team is looking at the data and saying, we'd rather ride out where we are currently, and whatever happens after the convention, whatever happens after the VP announcement, rather than commit to a debate where even more damage can be done. And while some people may see that as a smart decision, there's a lot of reasons why that should not be happening. And presidential debates and debates in any manner, we have them for congressional races, Senate races, governor races, hell, even mayoral races, we have debates. Because debates are part of the bedrock of our democracy. It's the bedrock of the way that we see our candidates face off against each other. And if they don't happen, the public is not going to be blaming the Kamala Harris campaign. So here we are, a month out from potentially the Fox News debate, a month and a week out from potentially the ABC News debate. We will see if any happen closer to Election Day. They've historically happened at the end of September and early and late October, and so it's very possible that between now and November, we get additional debates popping up on the calendar. But as it stands currently, Kamala Harris stands to gain the most out of Donald Trump backing out yet again from this national debate and opting to do his own on Fox News, we will see the direct impact of this on polling data as Kamala Harris starts to make more momentum changes with her VP, the Democratic Convention, and anything that happens between August 22nd and November 5th. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the top left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2024 presidential election analysis videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.